In this video, I'm going to show you how to put the second set of gears together in activity 414. So you can see this is what we're going to end up having. So I'm going to close this up. On my new one here, I'm immediately going to go up and I hit save. And I'm going to type in Spur Gear assembly. Next, I want to bring it apart in, and I'm going to bring in a little beam. So I'm going to scroll down here, grab my beam. We'll slide it in. And I'm going to move that back just a little bit. I'll zoom out so you can see what's going on. We'll hit OK. Now, my first piece I bring in, I want to come up on my browser. I want to right-click on that piece, and I want to hit ground. I want to ground that piece so everything else rotates around that piece. And you can tell I'm in grounded because I can see that little push pin right here. Next, I'm going to bring in one of my axle shafts. So I'll bring one in. And I like that. We'll just hit OK. We're going to make a revolute joint. So I'm going to make sure I switch to revolute. I'm going to come in. I'm going to grab the center end of my shaft. And I'm going to grab that hole, the second hole in. And I want to grab that center point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that out a little bit. We're going to pull it out. We'll pull it out 0.75. I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to grab another shaft. I'll bring one in. I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to still use my revolute joint. I'm going to grab this one here. And I want to come over 2 spots, or actually 3 spots. So I'm going to come the 4th hole from the end. I'm going to put it right there. Again, I'm going to pull that joint out. And I'm going to pull it out 0.75. Next, I want to find my little gear. And I have a little 12th tooth gear. So I'm going to slide that in. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to put this one in as a rigid joint. So I need to switch over to rigid. And I'm going to grab the outside edge of that. So I'm grabbing technically the center. We'll come back over to our axle, and I'll grab the end of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset that in a little bit. We're going to offset it in, let's go 0.1 or 0.2. How about 0.2? So we're going to offset that in just a little bit. We'll hit OK. Next, I'm going to bring in my 60 tooth gear. I'm going to move this out of the way so I can see the end of my shaft. We'll hit OK. I'm going to use the same kind of rigid joint. I'm going to grab the center there. And then I'll zoom in. I want my center point there. Now, I want to offset this in again, like I did with the other one. And what I'm going to do to make sure these line up, I'm going to turn it kind of sideways to make sure that these kind of line up. And they look pretty good right there. So I'm going to just leave that right there. And it's looking pretty good. What I could have done, what I should have done first is maybe checked on how I line these teeth up. So I can go back to my joints. That's the last joint that I did. So I can click on it and select edit joint. And I can take this and I can turn this gear maybe a little bit to see if I can get those teeth to kind of line up a little bit in there, and see if I can rotate it just a little more. That looks pretty good right there. We'll hit OK. I'm going to go to my home view. Now, to animate those 2 joints, I'm going to go up to Assembly, Motion Link. I'm going to come over here in my joints, and I want to use those 2 revolves. Now, this gear ratio is 12 to 60, or 1/5. So I need to change one of these numbers. So let's see what I can change. So 1/5 of 360 is 72. Let's see how that looks. I want the bigger gear move slower. So let's edit that again. Let's hit play. Yes, I can see my small gear is flying and my big gear is going slower. So that looks pretty good. The only thing is they're both going in the same direction, and that doesn't happen. So we need to switch directions. So now the little gear is moving inward, and same in the big gear. So that's how they mesh together. We'll hit OK. So I hope you enjoyed this video.